Hey, everybody, we want to welcome you to the second episode of the Rec Center podcast with Lo and Kenny Edwards. We want to thank you guys for your support of the first podcast. A lot of great reviews. Everybody loved Arthur Young and his story. We actually going to bring Arthur Young back for part two of his episode and let him talk more about some things that he wanted to share. But man, you guys reviews, you guys comments was great. And thank you guys for supporting the Rec Center podcast. Man, we got a special guest on for episode two, and I'm gonna let Ken introduce our special guest.
Hey, when we first came up with the Rec Center podcast idea, Lo, the first person that came to my head was none other than my man from way back, Will Cook Levy from McClymonds High. Will, what's going on?
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
So, Levy, a lot of people don't know you and I, even though I think you're like 4 years, because I was a freshman when you were a senior, I believe, or maybe even eighth grade. But a lot of people don't know my dad and your dad grew up together. So you and I have been playing. I mean, I've been going to your house playing wrestling figurines since I was like 6 or 7. A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
So definitely wanted to get you on and share your story, man. And you are part of the reason that I was excited in actually playing in the OAL. But take me back, because a lot of people don't know you really were a football player.
That's right, man. You know, my father, him and his family, all his brothers, you know, they were all football players. So I grew up in a football family, a football household. So my love for football is, you know, paramount. Yeah, I grew up playing football with the Oakland Dynamites. I started playing at about 11 years old, played 3 years of Pop Warner football. And then, you know, I just kind of transitioned from middle school to junior high school, and still was, you know, interested in playing football. But when I was in junior high school, they went to the 9th grade, so there was no football there at King of State's Junior High School. So that's when I kind of fell into basketball, started playing basketball, but my love for football was still number one. And so once I graduated from King of State's, I went to Skyline High School, senior high school at the time. So they started in 10th grade. And the reason why I went to Skyline was to play football. So, you know, tryouts come and, you know, summer league, and you got to go to double days for football if you want to play. But unfortunately, you know, that was cut short. I was 15 years old at the time, and my father told me I had to get a summer job. So football was no longer in my cards, and that's where, you know, I just kind of fell into basketball just by default.
Now, was you good in football, or was it just something you did?
I thought I could be good. I mean, playing Pop Warner, you know, is being one of the bigger, taller kids. You know, naturally they put you on the offense or the defensive line. I mean, if they had me playing a position that I would normally play, a lot of guys probably wouldn't have made the team. So, you know, just keep everybody on the team. You know, you put the bigger guys on the line. So I was playing offensive tackle, a little tight end, a little D end. I thought I could have been solid at, you know, more of a defensive end once I went up to the high school level. But all in all, once I got to Skyline, it was fascinating because my Pop Warner coach ended up being a junior varsity coach at Skyline at the time. It was his first year as well. So when I saw that, I got a little down. I was like, damn, you know, I'm going to be back on playing on the line again. And so when he gathered us up, you know, in a circle, and he started putting us in the area he wanted us to go work out in, he sent me over to the receivers. And, you know, at that time I was 6'4". So I thought, you know, I could have been a pretty solid receiver and then transitioned into something else, because I don't think I would have played receiver just because of me growing to 6'7". That wouldn't have worked out well. So I think all in all, though, I definitely could have prospered in football.
Okay,
that would have been dope to see you on the gridiron.
Would have been amazingly dope, right? So, Will, question I got for you. So, did you play 10th grade basketball at Skyline?
I did. I did play 10th grade basketball, and, you know, like I said, I wasn't very good. I was still, you know, getting into basketball. I didn't jumping off left foot, right foot, left hand, right hand layups. I was still working on all that. So, the coach, he started me out on JV. I thought I could have played varsity. That didn't last long. I played maybe about 8 games on junior varsity. Then I was brought up to varsity.
Okay. What made you? What year did you transfer to MAC, and what brought about that transfer?
I left after my sophomore year at Skyline. So, because it just basketball at Skyline, it just wasn't there. So, I wasn't satisfied. I was unhappy. I didn't like the coaching up there. I liked the players, but the coaching wasn't good enough. So, it was a little conflict there. I was upset. I was down. I was like, hey, I came home and I just told my folks, I said, hey, I want to leave Skyline if I'm not playing football. If I'm gonna play basketball, I want to go somewhere else. So all the cards were on the table. My father, being a Oakland High alum, he wanted me to go to Oakland High, and that was out for me. I said, nah, I'm not going to Oakland High. And my mother proposed Bishop O'Dowd, and I definitely wasn't going there. I said, I told her, I said, I can't go to Oakland Public School and then you transition me 2 years of, Catholic school. I said, you'd be wasting your money.
Definitely.
I said, that environment is just, it wouldn't have worked out at that time. It was too structured and, wearing a uniform and, it's too rigid.
So
too rigid.
You can't go from King to Skyline to O'Dowd. That's a tough.
No, but not only that, I went to Elmhurst before King. So it by all means, there's no way you're gonna spend money 2 years and me going to Bishop O'Dowd.
Now, what dissuaded you from going to Oakland High? Because at the time, Ray Holt is there, Marshawn is there.
And that was why they already had a foundation there.
No, but
I didn't want to join something. I wanted to come in and to be fresh.
Okay, so I'm thinking about that, Will. And you got you obviously an East Oakland kid at the time. You East Oakland kid, right? So you got a good team at Oakland High. You got a dope team at Fremont right after Frank Knight and them just played in the state championship, right? What made you not think about going to go play with Clint Williams or Freddie Morris at Oakland High or Fremont?
Like I said, they already had things established there. It was solid. It just, I'm all about competition. I didn't want to join something and it's already.
So
good.
what you're saying is Mac was not very good at the time.
This is how I'm gonna tell you this is how it all happened. So, like I said, all those cards were on the table. Well, those two cards were on the table. I played in the police athletic league my 8th grade year, going into my summer of ninth grade with Coach Mo.
Okay,
now it happened. So Coach Mo ends up getting a job in McClymonds. And he knew I was disgruntled at Skyline. So he called me and said, hey, I got the job at McClymonds. I would love for you to, come play for me.
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that was it right there. That was
now,
it.
Was your dad cool with Mo back in the day too?
Yeah. My father, he knows Mo. So, yeah, he was definitely cool with Mo.
There.
Boozy was there. I knew Booze already. So, yeah, it was an easy transition. And Mac just came off that 92 year where they were 26-1 and they were pretty much, vacated roster wise after that.
Now, who did you grow up watching?
They had nothing.
Like in your junior high, 9th grade, Tim, who did you watch in the OAL that made you say like, man, I can't wait till it's my turn?
Definitely Jason Wright at Skyline. Jay Wright.
Nasty.
Jay Wright was nasty. I love Mike Franklin's game at Castle. Mike Franklin was a beast. Big Roland Johnson that was at Castlemont. Bob Smith at Fremont.
I do hear Mike Franklin name a lot. I guess I'm quite a bit younger, so I never got to see him play. But when we're on Facebook or
Right.
we're
So
having the the barbershop talk, that name
he
does come up a
graduated.
lot.
He graduated in 1994. Rest in peace. But definitely, he was a dog out there.
What about Big Solomon at Tech? What kind of player was he when you was watching him play? As he class in '94 as well.
Right. So long story short, I've been knowing Solomon since I was about 8 years
Okay.
old. Because I have family that was in North Oakland that lived in North Oakland, so I knew Solomon quite well. And what was funny about this is, we used to play pickup basketball up at Sacred Heart, and they used to knock me around. I was skinny, I was taller, but I wasn't strong.
Right.
And so I didn't run back into Solomon until high school, and that's when the tables turned.
Definitely, man.
But me and Solomon are still good friends. But he was a bully out there. He played hard. He was physical.
When did you realize that, you know what, man? My welcome to the OAL moment. What was your welcome to the OAL moment? Was it somebody you dunked on? Was you posterize somebody when you let them know that I'm here? What was your welcome to the OAL moment?
I would say my welcome to the OAL was definitely off the court.
Let me hear that.
It wasn't even it wasn't even in the game.
Explain that one.
So
do tell.
My first day at Mac, my first day at McClymonds. Gym class, it's gym period. I didn't have gym clothes. My silly ass had on my Skyline gym clothes. So I tell you, about 5, 6 cats, they circled me up. Was like, hey, they didn't know me. I didn't know them. They said, hey, you got to take that shit off, man. You can't be wearing that up in here.
Now.
Right. So I looked them squared in their eyes. I was like, I ain't going to take it off, but I turn it inside out.
Right. Hey, so what you telling us is, man, we had our first guest, Arthur Young, on, and he let us know what the rivalry was like between Skyline and McClymonds, right? And you just helped us in establishing that, hey, even if it's gym clothes and I go here, you got to take that shit off. This is McClymonds. You got to take it off.
Yes, they told me. Yes, and I took it off. They won.
Pick and choose your battles.
Pick and choose.
So
absolutely.
Right, so you're on the court. You're playing for Coach Mo, who's now a legendary OAL coach. Give us some Coach Mo stories, man. Take us in the huddle, in the practice. Like, what was it like playing for such a legendary coach?
Man, Mo, he didn't yell at you. The way he talked to you was very fluid. He didn't talk down on you. He talked with you, talked to you. But push come to shove, he would go there, but that wasn't his style. His style was very smooth. That's just how it was with him. He didn't belittle you, but he was definitely a disciplinarian. He would bench you, he would sit you, he would run you, but he wasn't a yeller. And that worked well with me. Yeah,
that's what I've heard. I heard on I forgot to, but he was like, yeah, I think it was like somebody that was on that undefeated team recently, and they were like, nah, man, he would just get us in the huddle and say, how Mo, he got that draw, handle your business,
right?
And that was it.
Definitely.
Hey,
so
go ahead, Ken. But Cook, being at McClymonds, the school of champions, they say, with a huge basketball legacy, right? How much of it did playing basketball there did you want to leave a legacy for other people to come after you?
Man, I thought the next guy that was coming after me, it transitioned very well. I kind of look at it like the David Robinson, Tim Duncan. Like, I was there. I was a little older, but here comes this young guy who clearly is going to be a lot better, but he was just lacking in a few things. And that's who I wanted to, just to put under my wing a little bit and, kind of coddle him and show him the ropes and transition him because he transitioned and transferred from another school as well, which was Oakland Tech, and he ended up coming to McClimates. Talking about Daryl Tucker.
And Beast.
So yeah, he was something else, man. My first time seeing that cat, man, he came to one of our practices, and he was down at the other end with Adriel Burrell. And Adriel was just, throwing him lobs and alley-oops, and he just dunking it frontwards, backwards, all kinds of ways. I'm like, damn, who is that? And this guy that was working with our team, he was like, yeah, he's going to transfer. He's going to be coming here next year to join you. I said, what? I said, he 12th grade? He said, nah, man, he only going to be in the 10th grade. I said, wow.
So let me give you the Tuck story because your mentoring helped Tuck a lot. Because when he played against us, Tech in the playoffs his senior year, he had 32 points, 22 rebounds.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I knew he was going to be something, man, when I knew he was only in the 10th grade. And just to have that athletic ability, and he wasn't skinny. He was solid, He was a solid cat. So I knew he was going to be a monster.
What's the deepest run you guys went in the state tournament?
We won one game at Cal State against O'Dowd. And then when we got to the Coliseum, we lost to Jesuit.
Talk to me about that Jesuit game, man. I was there. Pops used to take me to the Coli, and we would go at 9:00 and stay all the way to the end. And I remember there was a lot of talk about certain calls were going certain ways. Yeah. Talk about that Jesuit game.
The Jesuit game, I just think, some of the guys, the stage just was too big for them. They weren't ready for that stage. They got caught up in the ambiance of being at the Oakland Coliseum, which I get, but I figure after the first quarter, you should be over that, and without a shot clock and playing a team like that's so structured, it's almost impossible to come back.
Definitely.
It's impossible because once they got the lead, they just kept the ball, they held it, and it was a very low scoring game. I believe it was 51-39, something like that. Out of the 39, I had 21. So
damn.
Was you out there by
yourself? That's just the kind of night it was. It felt like it at the end. I left it all out on the court, but I just think guys got caught up in the ambiance of playing at the Coliseum.
OAL wise, who was the best player you played against?
Oh man, my senior year?
Yeah, your whole time. Don't matter.
Man, you talking about a person that I guarded or just was on the opposing team? Man, I would say my senior year. I think Jules Milstead was a handful.
Yeah. Jules
Milstead, a lot of the Fremont guys. Calvin, they had Calvin Criddle, Rob Grissom. He was tough. At Skyline, I would say Jerome Stewart. He was solid. Castlemont, they had Benny Hill. I liked him. Oakland High, of course. Marshawn was solid. Ray Ho was solid. Tech, Big Jamel Morrow was over there. They had a cool team over there.
But we got to stir the pot. Who was the best?
My senior year, I was the best. My senior year.
Can I put my vote in, Ken?
Yeah, put your vote in.
So I watched a lot of them games, being in the OEL, and I was at the game against Oakland High. So Oakland High had a deep team that time. Freddie used to do this thing where he'd keep the balls out of the opposing team's hands with no shot clock, and they just pass the ball for 5 minutes straight, right? But Marshawn and you playing at Merritt, it was like y'all was going back and forth with each other. Back and forth, right? It's like you shoot him 7 for 7 and he's 6 for 7, right? And I was like, damn, that is a matchup right there. Even though y'all not guarding each other, you got Marshawn by 5 inches at the time. And I'm like, damn, they really going at it. But when you mentioned Jules and them Fremont guys, it's kind of hard to compare on who that just speaks depth of what the OEL was, right? Because it was some boys in the OEL.
Yeah, a lot of talent, but that '96 year, I think that I was the best player this as a senior.
Who?
Out of the
Oh,
senior class, I
definitely,
was the best.
definitely, definitely. You was a monster. That's why when Ken told me that you was a football player at first, because I'm thinking you one of them guys that played AAU basketball since you was 8. That's how good you
No,
was your senior year. I'm like, he had to been playing since he was 8. So to hear you start off as a football player, I'm like, oh shit, I can't wait to hear this story.
yeah, no. Basketball was secondary to me.
So why did you ever think about going out for the McClymonds football team when you got there?
No,
Definitely.
no. The only other time that I considered playing football was when I was at Eastern Washington.
Let's speak on that. What brought that about? Did a coach come up to you and say, "You know what, man, you'd be a good tight
No,
end"?
I used to watch. I used to go to all their games. They had a really good football program at Eastern Washington. Um, this other junior college transfer from Chabot, he went to Eastern Washington with me. He was about 6'8". He's 6'8", about I'll say about a good 260, 270 at the time. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, yo, let's go walk on the football team. Let's go try out. You play tackle and I play tight end. We'd be right next to each other. He didn't want to do it, so I wasn't gonna do it. I wanted somebody to go out there with me. Hey, but who knows if we would have went out there, we probably wouldn't be on this recording right now, man. That's how I look at it.
Definitely,
Right.
definitely,
Hey,
man.
hey, Cook. I'm gonna let Lo ask his dying question, but right before that, right before we do that, tell me what like your recruiting process was like. While in high school, like what was that like? What schools were looking at you? Where were you gonna go, and what ultimately was your choice?
Okay, so in high school, I got a lot of the the WCC schools, the lower Pac-10 at the time schools, the lower level Pac-10 schools, USC, Washington State. At that time, those weren't basketball programs. They weren't really good. St. Mary's was on me heavily for the WCC. They had a recruiter there, and that's why USC started recruiting me very well, because he went there as a recruiter as well. So I had the kind of the St. Mary's USC type connection going on. But a lot of teams were they started recruiting me once they figured that I wasn't going to pass my SAT. So the recruiting process slowed down quite a bit after I took it one time. A lot of letters, a lot of phone calls, a lot of that.
Got it. That makes sense. That makes sense. So, with was it easier getting into Eastern Washington with your SAT score?
I didn't need an SAT score because I did the junior college route for 2 years and I got my
Got it.
A.
Got it. Hey, I went the junior college route. Ken,
Right.
you went the junior college route, right?
Junior college,
You went the
worked out.
No, but junior college was, in essence, was probably the best thing that could have happened for me, though. I tell people this all the time. When I look back at it now, I wasn't ready to play Division I basketball. I just was. I had the athletic ability, but I didn't have the skill.
Got it.
I was raw. I didn't know how to jump off 2 feet. I didn't know how to set a proper ball screen.
See, a lot of kids don't know that. A lot of kids think if they can dunk and hit the three that they ready, but it's so.
I never had to set a screen or jump off 2 feet. I never had to do it. I never was taught how to do that. So when I got to Diablo Valley College, it was like going back to square one for me. I didn't know how to jump off my right foot. I couldn't jump off 2 feet. I didn't know how to stop and set a ball screen.
Got
I'm not doing anything.
Got it. Hey, question. When you transferred to Mac and with the rivalry that Skyline and Mac had, when you guys played each other, was you getting this super trash talk that you're a traitor, you shouldn't be over there? Like, I know there's a lot of trash talk in the OAL, but did they give it to you for trading and going over to Mac?
It was just when the game happened, but before and after the game, it was all love, because most of the people that went to Skyline, I went to King with. So A lot of them I still talk to. So, you know, it was just smack talking for the game. It was nothing ever serious.
Got it. So here go the question, man. It's a question that everybody gets on this podcast, Will. So you talked about the guys that was monsters in the OEL. Who did you play against and you realized like, hey, you know what, man, this guy kind of overrated. Anybody that was too overrated that you like, hey, they not all hyped up what they made out to be.
Oh, wow. Let me see. I'm gonna always go to the Catholic private school system, man. I always feel like they get the nod over public schools.
Explain that. Because when I think about them private schools back then, I'm thinking Ray Young and them at St. Joe's, right? They were playing, and there was a lot of people. Oh, De La Salle. De La Salle had a deep run that year as well, you know. So any of them guys in particular, or are you just talking about as a whole, as a school, that these schools was overrated?
I felt the schools were overrated. I thought the players that they were talking about were good, but I just didn't feel like they were that much better, but definitely because of the school that they were at. And, you know, a lot of times they'll put those guys ahead of us because of the curriculum at those schools.
Oh, definitely. So when y'all guys finished, who was your senior year at the end of the season? What do you remember what the rankings was like for the Bay Area?
I wouldn't know off the top of my head no.
Okay, I'm just trying to see what schools was up there, Catholic school wise. You know, we got our O'Dowds that stay there, De La Salles that stay there, and then we get them Archbishop Middies and them places, they stay there. Just was trying to figure out who was the top, and I can't remember off the top of my head either.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That was way back in the day. You know, Cook. He like old.
Yeah, I'll be 40.
He's 96. So. I'm right behind him. I'm 98, Ken. So I remember them things, right? But
I was a junior high.
So I do have an old clipping of the final rankings. Actually.
Okay, we got to go revisit that one. We got to visit that one.
All right, so they had Northgate finish that one.
Yeah, that's a Loco, right? Or who is
Northgate? Right, is out of Walnut Creek, right? Okay.
Yes. Then they had O'Dowd at 2. O'Dowd. But don't forget, we beat O'Dowd in the playoffs. No, they had Reggie Jackson, Scott Darmstadt.
I remember Darmstadt.
They had a cool team, but we beat them. You know, we beat them. They had St. Joe's at 3. Granada at 4, De La Salle at 5, St. Liz at 6, San Ramon Valley at 7. They had us at 8.
St. Liz?
Yeah, St. Liz.
Wow.
They went 27-4.
Wow.
Irvington at 9, Hayward High at 10, Infidel at 11, 12 was Miramonte, 13 was Monroe Catholic, 14 Berkeley, and Oakland High finished at 15.
Wow. So in the really deep OEL, only 2 teams finished in the top 15 at the end of the season.
Right, and Oakland High they couldn't get in it because they was only taking 1 team out of Oakland at that time, so they didn't even get in the tournament.
And Oakland High was the regular season champ, right? And then you guys got them in the regular
season champs, but they had to win the tournament.
I remember that.
Wow. That's crazy. And now it shows that it was heavily favored Catholic schools, and which is crazy because their leagues didn't go as deep as the OAL. Right. They weren't playing the same caliber teams when you got to play, what is it, Fremont 3 times, Oakland High 3 times.
But not only that, think about just arriving to the game, what you have to endure before you even step on the court. You got to deal with the crowd. Like we already know what those situations were like. They were very volatile and unpredictable.
Yeah, especially when we went to go play MAC.
They didn't walk through magnetometers before the game. Their fans didn't do that.
So one of the things, Will, and this story always comes up, we talk about it. Were you ever a part of a basketball game at McClymonds and they turning the lights off on the team in the other gym? That's how crazy it was getting. Were you ever a part of any of those type of stories?
I was definitely a part of that.
So explain to us what was the tradition in that happening with McClymonds? Like, what was the tradition behind it?
I just think, fans, they didn't like what they were seeing out on the court, the product, and they just, hey, we're gonna cut the lights off and settle it. We're gonna win one way or another. Hey,
Man.
you just make a beeline straight to the team room. You see that light on in that underneath the backboard, you just run straight there, man. That's the safe haven right there.
But I never felt safe playing at Mac. I would try to block it out and just try to, stay between the lines, but I never felt like, all right, if something go down, I'm good.
Yeah, man. And people ask me to this day, how did I do it, man? I really, those were probably some of the best 2 years of my life, man. The fan base you can't even measure the love there, man. They love basketball. They love sports. The tradition is strong. They travel well. If you win, and they gonna go to every game.
I mean, Mac is the only school that has an annual alumni picnic. I always looked up to y'all for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody's invited. All the classes from that went to McClymonds, man. If you went there, man, it's all love, man. Everybody's got their booth set up, and everybody's barbecuing and have a good time. There's never no issues up there.
Yeah, because we talk a lot of mess about Mac, but I did want to give that positive shout out. Like that alumni picnic, my mom and dad both went to Mac, so I get a pass for that one day only. And
shit, all my family be up there. My uncles, my aunts, my cousins, everybody be at the Mac barbecue, man. That's an event
like
right
you said,
there in itself.
Never no problems, never.
Zero.
Never. You know why? And that's why when you hear people say Mac family, right? They take that family to heart. It's Mac family.
Oh yeah, man. I was in all them hoods over there. Acorn, Cypress, the Bottoms, man, you name it. I'm all through there. I was there.
Which hood tried to claim you? Which one tried to say, you know what? Will is from this hood now. Did anybody try to claim you?
I was from the Bottoms, man. I threw up the L's, man. I was
Hey, I want to say Truck had a hand in that.
Truck was a fool, man. Big Truck.
Hey, it's amazing to see what my brother turned out to today, man. I'm so proud of Truck, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. We couldn't forecast making it this far in life, man, and due to circumstances and the environment, shit, who could?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing I want to ask you about is the influence that Coach Mo had on your life. Have you had a chance to read his book yet?
Man, I got both books sitting in front of me right now, man. I tackled both of those.
Oh, it was 2 books. I didn't know it was 2. So did he mention you in any of the books?
Yes. Well, his first book, The Agony, the Ecstasy, is all about the 2008 team that went undefeated, man. The best team in McClymonds history, man, bar none.
Okay.
That's what the first book is about. The second book is called The School of Champions, and that's when he talks about players that went to the school. And he does mention me and quite a few other guys in here, man. Both books are excellent.
And it's a different time. It's different times and things like that. The competition was different and things like that. Do you think your 96 team could have beat the 2018 team?
No.
What about, do you think y'all could have beat the 1998 team, the senior year of Adrell and Tuck?
I don't think so, man. Tuck was, man, looking back at his senior year, man, he was something else, man. He should have been in the McDonald's game. That's how good he was.
I don't know, man.
Absolutely.
I don't know, like, maybe it's different because I never played against you, but I played against Tuck.
Right.
Now the man was all world. Like, we're not about to disrespect Tuck on this show.
Yeah.
But he wasn't Will Levy.
Our games were just so different. I think what he had, I wish I had, and I think what I had, he needed.
I think you were tougher.
What do you think?
You were tougher.
I was
definitely.
I definitely played with more tenacity. I was definitely more gritty, but his athleticism was just phenomenal.
Yeah. I'll give him that.
He was way more athletic than I was.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but if I had what he had and he had what I had, we'd have just been one hell of a player.
That's why you made a perfect comparison in the David Robinson, Tim Duncan thing, right? That was the perfect comparison of you two guys, right? But when I think about his senior year, which was my senior year, man, they had Luke Mon, man, and Luke
Exactly.
Man, Luke Mon, hey Ken, I don't know if you remember Luke Mon, but Luke Mon was he was a walk-in, put you on a poster type of player, right?
And that's what I'm saying, man. I think that 98 team, man, I think they were still better than us.
I don't know,
Absolutely.
man. They wasn't that good, bro. They was not that good.
No, they weren't.
No, Ken, you got to go matchup for matchup. Now, when we go Doug versus Adriel, who you picking in that matchup? Adriel, right? They had.
Because I liked the addition that we got with Doug, but once he got the Mac, man, you know, he wasn't the same. He wasn't the same Berkeley High Doug, you know.
Absolutely, right. And then they had the shooter. They had Dominique and Marco, right? Like at the time, Dominique Ingerson was like all stroke, like he didn't miss jumpers from the wing, right?
Exactly. And Dom was nice.
Dom was nice, right? Where did Dom go? Where did he go to college at?
Michigan.
Ken, that's your team.
That's what I said. I said Michigan, dog.
That's your team, Ken. Yeah, hey Ken, you know what? I'm gonna have to go with the 98 MAC team over 96.
I guess it's hard, man, because I played against them. Now if you talk 98 Fremont, now I'm like, dude, all bow down, like them boys was buckets. But I'll put it like this: I didn't fear playing MAC. And I felt like when we walked on the court, we had a chance. Fremont, bro.
Hey, Ken, I don't think y'all had a chance, though. I don't think y'all had a chance. It was the confidence in y'all, but y'all wasn't nobody able to. Who else did Tuck have down there too? Markel was down in the blocks with him.
Big Markel, I believe, was down there. Yep.
Markel.
Markel was like a sophomore at that time, though.
But that's the same as 96 with Will and Tuck.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm biased. Tuck, my dog. I mean, Will, my dog. I never met Tuck personally. You know what I'm saying? Cook is my boy, so maybe I'm biased.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you biased, right?
And you gotta understand too, Ken. You were a lot younger when you watched me, so the stuff that I was doing probably looked that much magnified.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I played against them, so it was like, and that's what I'm saying. I never played against you, so it might have been more like idolization.
Right. I think that's part of it as well. You know, you was watching me and you were actually playing against him, so it's two different lenses you looking through.
I agree with that.
So Will, who was your big poster moment, man? Who you dunked on and just like still vivid in your mind that you can remember it to this day?
Man, most of my dunks wasn't on a whole lot of people. It would just be more breakaway. It just never was. I wasn't a huge dunker for one, and I wasn't a traffic dunker.
Oh, got it. You ain't catch nobody under the rim that didn't box you out and was like, "Hey, I got you," and just bump on.
I had a few of those, but off the top of my mind, it might have been in garbage time, and I don't want to put people's names out there like that.
No, I can't. No. Will, we putting names out there, man. We put them out there.
Will, this the rec center. At the rec center, you don't hold back at the rec center. That's where you talk the most trash.
Nah, you're right. But like I said, man, hey, I left that up to Tuck, man. I was more I did all the other stuff. He was the dunker.
Got it. But
like I said, most of my dunks came in transition and on the break. I wasn't a traffic dunker dunking over people and catching it off the rim.
I hear you.
So Will, I'm gonna ask you one question, man. If you had to give some kids some advice right now, man, what would you say to these kids and give them some advice moving forward in their athletic career? What's some of the things you'll tell them?
Get a heart.
Get a heart.
Learn how to take criticism.
Hey.
Never stop working on your craft. And if you want to play basketball, you got to know how to dribble the ball. You have to know how to dribble.
Hey, that's a message. So when I play this back, I'm gonna drag my son in here and let him listen to you, right? Because even as a dad, as a coach, he think what I say be all made up. Like you didn't go through, like I went through this, right? But in their
Right.
generation, they need more than one voice to say this stuff to them, right? About what it is when you have a
Definitely.
heart, right? Like back in the day, you needed a heart to play in OL, right? Like I think if you would have went and played at that Bishop O'Dowd lead, if you transferred there, you would have averaged 30 and 20, because your heart was way too much for
Right.
them, right? So I'm gonna bring my son in here after we play this back and let him hear what Will Levy said. You gotta have some heart.
Gotta have heart, man. I take heart over talent any day.
Absolutely.
I can develop your skill, but I can't develop your heart, man. Like you just gotta have that.
Absolutely. And what about school wise, man? What advice you would give the kids about school?
Man, reading is fundamental, man. You have to read and know and understand and comprehend what is on that text. You got to know what's in that book.
Absolutely.
But at this point, I'm a little. I'm on the fine line, not with high school, but in terms of after high school to college. It's a lot of opportunity now to have employment and to make really good money without having to go to college. So I think it's paramount for parents or the guardians to understand what type of child that they have or grandchild that they're raising and see what, where their strengths and their weaknesses are, because school isn't for everybody. Everybody had to go to school in our day. Now today, you don't have to do that.
Absolutely.
And it's never too late. I went back and I finished my degree. I just recently graduated in 2017, but it's never too late. You can always go back, but understand that. Is
there anything you want to leave? Any last words you want to say before we get up out of here?
Man, just to all the young athletes out there, man, there's always life after sports. So think about life after sports, but enjoy while you're playing the sport, but also consider life after that sport.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that goes back to me, right? So when I was in college, when I was in school, I wasn't a good student. I was just sports, right? So when it didn't work out for me, it took me an extra 5-6 years to figure out what it is I want to do, right? Because I didn't have a plan outside of sports, right? So yes, man, it's very important that that's instilled in kids young at an early age to figure out what do you want to do after sports is done.
After it's all over, because in essence, you're still going to be a young person. But you're just going to be too damn old to play sports.
Right. Right, man. Thank you, man. So, Will, man, we want to thank you for coming on the Rec Center podcast, man, and sharing a lot of game and a lot of stuff I didn't know about you, which I assume you were just this all-world basketball player. But to see that you play some football, man, I think that's where a lot of your heart came from and transitioned to that basketball court, which made it easy, man. So we want to thank you for coming on the podcast, man, and talking to us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, that's amazing. Great interview with Will, man. Very enlightening, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know about the dude, man, that he shared. Man, that was great. Great interview with him. You didn't see my post earlier, but what I did was I asked for people to tag the women's basketball players, man, so we can get some of them women's on here, man, so they can talk their stuff. Any women's basketball player you would want to hear from?
Well, we got to have your cousin Tay on there. Ashalik Johnson from Castlemont. Shavaki was a great player. There was another Castlemont lady late, like right after Ashalik. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, but it's some ballers that came out on the women's side. I saw the post, and they were mentioning, I know McClymonds had two twins around 2001, 2002-ish. We got to have them on too. And man, whoever else is out there, let us know, because we definitely want to get the women on here and let them share their story.
You know who I want to hear, man? I want to hear Alexis Gray Lawson and Devin A. Hampton.
Yeah, well, Alexis just got the head coaching job at St. Joe's
High School. Oh,
Yeah.
That's big. They went deep into the tournament this year. They lost the game before the state championship. They lost to Archbishop Mitty Or no. They lost to Bishop O'Dowd.
But she coming back home, man. So she's gonna be coaching. And excuse me if it's not St. Joe's, but I believe it's St. Joe's. But she's coming home to coach. Definitely got to have her and Devonay on there. Devonay was at Rainbow when I was at Rainbow, so I saw her come up.
Okay.
I've been watching for a long time. So when they got together at Tech with Coach Pico, and Pico at Rainbow too. So it's going to be some stories come out of that interview as well.
Were they the first group of girls in the OEL in how many years to win a state championship? Did they win a state championship?
They won 2 back-to-back, and not only that, but they were both McDonald's All-Americans. I do not remember anybody on the OEL girls side that was McDonald's.
Got it, man. So, I'm still biased. Tay my cousin, right?
No, Tay raw though.
So Tay grew up and she had to play with all the boys, just like most of these girls did. They played with boys, man. So I'm a little biased, but I would have loved to see Tay play. True crazy story, man. Tay senior year, she playing against McClymonds, and I want to say she went for 28, 29, right? And during it, I'm tired of these McClymonds stories, man. But but as Tay going to shake hands and stuff, man, one of the twins swung on her, and we go get one of the twins, Shemaya. Shemaya got to come on. We got to talk to Shemaya about the rivalry that was going on the women's side of basketball, man. Let her tell that story, man. But I remember that game. Tay, my cousin, we like, hold on. Tay got her temper, but I'm like, Tay, we can't fight the whole West Oakland by ourselves.
Not in West Oakland.
No, I think the game was at Tech. You know how the playoff games go, where they
the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the game was at Tech, and it was like, Tay, we can't fight the whole West Oakland, man. But definitely we got to bring some of these female ballers on and bring the rest of these guys on that we gonna talk to, man. Will didn't want to say who he felt was overrated, man. So we got to bring somebody that's gonna say, you know what, man, such and such was overrated.
That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard because man, in Oakland people get sensitive, man. And it's hard, man, to really go there. I myself wouldn't really care. I'm over it. That was back in the day. If you think I'm overrated, that's fine. And my whole thing is like, in order to be overrated, you had to be rated, right? Like nobody gonna say the 12th man. So we're not saying you was trash. We just saying like, dang, we heard, and then I didn't see what I heard. That's all we saying.
Yeah, but man, see, maybe it's different with basketball, man, because when we talk to these football dudes, they'll say, hey, man, such and such was overrated, man, and things like that.
Well, now you're talking about football players versus basketball players.
And hey, you know what?
Football players tend to be a little bit tougher.
It tend to be more tougher, and we say our trash talk go happy, man, and things like that. Like honestly, as a football player myself, I'd say a lot of dudes that got scholarships was overrated to me. A lot of dudes that got scholarships was overrated to me, and some of them got scholarships based on they height, they weight. They was big, so we can use scholarship because we gonna work with you on the next level, But when we played against them, it was like, damn, this motherfucker he got this scholarship, So it ain't. I'm not seeing it, right? So it's a lot of those things, man. So, but definitely, man, there was a dope number 2 interview, man. And we on to something here, man.
Definitely. So, hey, everybody out there, before we close it out, definitely follow us. On Instagram, the Rec Center Podcast, YouTube, the Rec Center Podcast, and Anchor app, the Rec Center Podcast. Chime in. Let us know who you want to hear from. If we're missing anybody, the OEL has a rich history that spans many, many years. And so, Lo was only in school for 4 years. I was only in school for 4 years. So we don't know everybody. So if there's somebody we're missing or if we're favoring a certain era, definitely let us know. We're open. And we want everyone to get their story out. So that's a wrap for episode 2. The legendary Will Levy. Lo, you did your thing, man. It's always a pleasure joining you in this podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll hear from y'all on the next.
All right. Peace.